Well, hello friends, neighbors, John your whiskey neighbor here, and welcome to World Whisky Day. This particular World Whisky Day, third Saturday of every May, I think is just a good excuse to celebrate whiskey, to go to a tasting, to bring a friend over if we could safely in COVID, and just share and enjoy some good whiskey. There is an International Whiskey Day in March, which is more closely aligned to celebrate the life and contributions of Michael Jackson, very close to the whiskey community, and it's often an awesome day to celebrate some of his memories of his and his contributions. But this, well, I think this is just an excuse to celebrate some whiskey. So I've poured out a few from different styles and whatnot. We'll taste, we'll nose, we'll celebrate, we'll talk. Should be a lot of fun. So the first one is a Canadian, then I have an Irish, then I have a bourbon, then a Scotch, and we're going to finish with a first-time taste of Millstone, a Dutch single malt. So stay with me, and then we'll celebrate together. 3, 4. Thanks for coming back. So I'll try to go as quick as I can. When you got this big lineup, it's easy to talk for a long time about any one of them, but I'd like to give you just a taste. Maybe you're thinking, well, World Whisky Day, what should I try? So the first one is a Canadian. This is the bottle that I have here. It's from Hiram Walker. It's part of the Northern Border release. Gooderham and Worts usually has 4 grains. This one does. So we've got corn, wheat, rye, barley. What's interesting about this release, it's 49%. And it's got red winter wheat, and it uses red oak staves inserted into the bottle. See what we get. You know, the nose is fairly sweet, almost a sugary corn syrup sweetness, and a little edge of spice. But really, I say the nose leans heavily into that Canadian kind of, you know, maple syrup, a little bit of sweetness forward. See what the palate tastes like. Cheers. That is very good. Nicey coating. It does kind of start a little bit, you know, sweet forward, light fruits, but there's definitely a spicing that comes. And if this was a different Gooderham and Worts, it'd be like, oh boy, that rye is pretty expressive, but I think it's that red oak staves that have been inserted into the casks. Now this is a 19-year-old, so it's really quite, I was gonna say smooth, and in that way, like it's not aggressive in any one area, except the spice. The spice stands out. Okay, the next one I have is an Irish. Now this is a sample from Andy. Thank you, Andy. Nice to meet you. And this is Teeling single malt. Now Teeling single malt, of course, single one distillery malt, all barley. But I think they finish theirs in just a variety of casks. We've got, you know, ex-sherry, ex-port, ex-madeira, ex-burgundy wine. I can't remember. I think there's 5 finishes. It's 46%. I don't know if it's natural color and non-chill filtered, but certainly presented well. Now this is sweeter. Now it's the first thing I mentioned about the Canadian, but this is kind of that corn grain forward sweetness, where this is sweet like, this is like a fruity sweetness, like a white grape or a pineapple. Yeah, I think maybe pineapple. See how it tastes. Cheers. That is lovely. And I think any one of these up here, haven't got through all of them yet, but it's quite approachable and really does have quite it's like a white wine finish for me. Like it's quite sweet, quite fruity, fruit cup type sweetness, but there's still a little bit of malt, you know, malt grainy smoothness that kind of brings it together. A little bit of spice, a little bit aggressive in the throat, so it's probably younger, but very approachable. Okay, we'll go down to the US. Next one is a sample from Ray. Thank you, Ray. This is Weller Antique 107. Now, I haven't had the Antique 107, so I'm pretty excited to try this sample. We definitely know we're in bourbon territory. And for that cross between these two, yeah, there's still a kind of a corn sweetness, but it's got already oak coming up in the nose for me. And the spicing like a cinnamon red heart cinnamon spice. Now, Antique 107 is just that, I think 53 point some percent, so it's stronger. It's Weller, so instead of rye, they've used wheat as that interesting third grain, right? There's still some malted barley, and there's a lot of corn. Let's see what it tastes like. That is really tasty. And it is very cinnamon bun, perk spicy, so it's got a little cracked pepper, chewy. Oh, the oak is done right, almost a char oak. Wow. I like that. Okay, we're gonna go over to Scotland, and this is GlenAllachie Caskstrength. Thank you, Paul, for sharing that with me. Now, lately, whenever I think GlenAllachie, I think of Al, the whiskey friend. He reviews quite a bit, and this is GlenAllachie Cask Batch 3. And I saw that a while ago from him and was very excited. This also has quite a few different casks in it. So even though it's cask strength, I think it's got first and second fill ex-bourbon. It's got some ex-PX, ex-Oloroso. Well, maybe that's it. But I think it's also like around 58%, somewhere in there. So we're continuing to bump up in strength. Oh, this is a rich, dark nose for me. Oh yeah, this is a heavy earthen sherry, musty wood, Christmas baking spices, a little bit of leather, some tobacco. Boy, bold and rich nose, layered too. Chuck on the palate, Slancha. Swallowed that a little closer than I wanted to. Better taking a little sip. That was better and far more controlled. Now I was able to keep it around. It's actually got a fair amount of spicing, but not the cinnamon type spicing. Now we're like baking, clove, nutmeg. I really do feel it's a darker spice palette. Certainly an older wood, darker fruits. Really good. Oh, really good. Okay, we're heading into the last one, the only other one I have an actual bottle of. And this is from Zudham Distilleries in the Netherlands. It's Millstone Dutch Single Malt, their Oloroso Sherry Cask. I first heard about this from Mark Whiskey Whistle, and then Al from, is it Straight Al Whiskey? I'm blanking on the YouTube name, but also reviewed it and really quite liked it. So it's 46%. I believe it's natural color, but I can't remember. Someone can maybe comment down below, or I'll look it up as I edit. So this is my first thoughts on this Millstone Dutch Single Malt. Oh, what a great nose. I just naturally want to compare it to the GlenAllachie. This is brighter, a little more floral. Chocolates are a little more milk chocolate. This is kind of cocoa. Oh, what a nose. That is really drawing me in. I don't know what the Dutch say instead of slancha or cheers, but cheers. What a great finish to this journey. It is actually oakier than the GlenAllachie for me, and a mustier, older oak feel. I'm sure it's younger, but it's got it's very sherry forward, espresso, dark. Interesting, the nose is more milk, but the palate for me is darker palates again. It's a little rough. I've had this kind of a heavy sherry touch in some other whiskeys, and I like it a lot. But I could see some people saying it's playing maybe on that bitter edge. Like, that was a fun walkthrough. Quite a few very great, very fun whiskeys, and maybe you heard something you like. I would suggest, if you're new to whiskey, that Teeling single malt is the most approachable up here. I think it's also the same. No, it's the same as the Millstone, but it is definitely it's 46% and the most approachable. but all of these had great flavors to talk. And I think it's a fun day to maybe have over a neighbor, if you can do that COVID safely, or if not, program, relax, and check out some good whiskey today. Thanks for joining me. Hope you have a fantastic weekend.